I want to introduce Ronald Quinn. His course is Fire in the West, which starts on June 2nd. I suspect that when Dr. Quinn begins his course, we will already have embarked on yet another fire season, starting in BC, going south down to California. This is a very timely course for us, and we are going to take advantage of Dr. Quinn's expertise. He is a fire ecology expert, and he has studied this subject for well over 30 years. Welcome, Ron.
Thank you. I believe it's my turn now. Yes, I am a fire ecologist. I've collaborated and worked on wildfires for all of my adult life. I got interested in fire when I was a kid. And as soon as I was at the place where I could learn things and went in the direction of ecology, it was fire that led me where I ended up. So I thought I would start, this may be unusual, with a quote that's kind of an old quote, but I like it. And it was said by Senator Everett Dirksen, who was a Republican senator from Illinois for decades in the last century. And for 10 years, he was a Senate minority leader. So he ran a lot of committee meetings and asked a lot of questions of experts, including scientists. And he came out of some meeting where he'd gotten expert testimony from scientists. I don't even know what the subject was. It doesn't matter. But some reporter asked him what he thought he had learned and what he wanted to do next. And Senator Dirksen said, I want to find a one-armed scientist. And this reporter said, what? And he says, I want a scientist when I ask them a question, they don't first answer it and then say, on the other hand. And so that's the thing about wanting simple answers to complex questions. They're incomplete at best, could be misleading, and sometimes just plain wrong at worst. And so I thought what I would do with the few minutes that I have here is to ask a few questions that are likely that people ask me, just generally when they find out what I do and what I know about. And then I'll have a little bit to say about each of those, but not much. First of all, are wildfires in the Pacific Northwest and elsewhere steadily becoming more frequent, larger, intense, and destructive? Yes. Now that sounds like it's a complete answer, but of course it isn't. There's a lot more to it. Where, when, why, and why leads to the second question. Is this trend of larger and larger fires really caused by climate change? And that's an easy one to say yes, and then say and, or on the other hand, because there's a lot more to it than that. Where, when, under what circumstances, why is that important? Has it happened before? Is it happening here? There are a lot of other things that you could connect with that question, and we will. The next question that I have on my little list here, and it's not a long list, I'm almost half done, is can we expect more smoky summer days in Western Washington? Yes. And there's some things more to be said about that, but not as much, at least not by me, because I'm not a meteorological expert. But I'll tell you what I know and find out what you know, and we'll talk about that. The next one, aren't all of the really bad wildfires in Washington state east of the Cascades? No. And they never have been. And they won't be in the future. And probably you're saying, what? I don't remember. You know, it does not stack up with what people live where we do usually think about our fires in this state. And we'll talk about that. The next one, can destructive wildfires, and by the way, a wildfire means a fire that's burning in natural vegetation, usually not, and it doesn't have anything to do with city fire departments and fire engines with ladders and things like that. Not that kind of fires. Wildfires are fires out there, away from us usually, but not always. So that's a slight diversion, but I thought I maybe should clarify that. So can destructive wildfires be prevented? No, never have been, never will be. And so then you might think, well, what are all of those guys, you know, with the yellow suits on and they're running up and down the mountains with the chainsaws and things? What are they doing? I thought they were preventing destructive wildfires. Well, they're doing important things, but that's not it. And I'll have quite a bit to say about that. And finally, and this may be the most important one, or the one that would incline someone to sign up for a class like this, what are the best ways to avoid losses of life and property in wildfire areas? And how can we protect ourselves? Well, the short answer to that is prepare in advance. In other words, there are plenty of things that we can do and don't always do, which is always the case with human dilemmas, isn't it? And as more and more of us understand what we can do and understand that that it's worth the effort to do so, particularly in particular situations, we'll all be better off. Now that probably should have, you probably say, what? You know, would you say that again or say it more clearly? Well, I can say it more clearly, but not without using a lot of words. There are ways we can cope much better with destructive wildfires than we're doing today. So things are going to change with that, and they're changing right now. And this is a few months off, and probably I'll have some things to say about that haven't even materialized yet. And so that's my little list of things that I thought ahead of time would cause people to want to sit down and take a class called Wildfire in the West.